update me on what's going on.
I only have a few more days than you, Mike.
I understand you do.
More.
You got a couple more days. That's it. So,
yeah, a couple more than you.
Yes.
Well,
what's going on?
Supreme Court has taken the case.
They have taken it. Okay.
Yep. All the briefs are submitted, and on December 4th, they'll have oral argument before the U.S. Supreme Court in Christie versus the NCAA.
And you're confident? And who's arguing for your side?
We have Ted Olson.
Oh, you do? Okay, wow.
Yes.
Okay. And who do they have?
They have Paul Clement. So
okay.
This is like
big
King
time.
Kong versus
Godzilla. This is big. Okay.
Yeah.
I even know both of those guys. So those guys are big guys. So yeah, we're talking very big guys. Okay. And you're confident you're going to win this?
I feel good about it. I mean, you can never be completely confident when you go to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's 9 people sitting up there, but we feel really good about our argument. We don't see that there's any basis for the federal government to be able to tell the states that you have to do or not do certain things. And so from our perspective, this should be the choice of the people of the state of New Jersey. They've spoken in a referendum. The legislature passed the law. I signed it. And we think the Supreme Court's going to back with the right of the states to do what they think is best in this area.
Now, the one thing that's going to happen, if you win this, and we're talking with Governor Christie, if you win this, you know what the next mechanism is. The leagues are going to pull this back and put together a plan because they want to get paid. You know what they want. They all want to get paid. They all have a plan on their desks. They all know this is coming. They've tried to delay it for as much as they can. Do you see this as a federal offering first, or do you think states are going to be able to do it individually?
Listen, if the Supreme Court rules in our favor, the states are going to start. Listen, at Monmouth Park,
you're ready to go.
They're already built out. If the Supreme Court ruled, Mike, on June 30th, by July 4th weekend, Monmouth Park would be taking bets.
Oh, you will, okay. And you'll be taking as many different kinds of bets as Vegas takes, or is there limits?
Yes, no. As many kind of bets as Vegas does. The Monmouth Park already has a partnership with the Big Book in Great Britain.
Okay.
And so they'll have all the technology and the ability to take bets on everything that Vegas takes bets on.
What do you figure this is going to put in your coffers?
It's hard to estimate, Mike, because you'll have to tell me how long would New Jersey have a East Coast monopoly on this?
Right.
How long will it take other states to get up and running? The good thing is we'll have a decent head start because we already have all of our everything in place to do it at Monmouth Park, and I believe the Meadowlands would come behind that pretty quickly at the tracks, and then the casino, we'd have to see how long it takes to get going. But I think that we're all ready. And as far as the leagues go, if they wanted to make a deal, they should have come to us a long time ago.
Right.
I mean, this has been going on for years, and I'm not saying that some deal won't happen sometime in the future where the leagues wind up getting cut of the action. And I was on Real Sports and said that's what this is all about.
That's what this is about. They want to get paid. Absolutely, yes.
They want a piece.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And like in any dispute, right, Mike? You can negotiate, and ultimately that may happen. But in the meantime, you have $190 billion in illegal gambling on sports that's going on in the country, and not all of that will wind up being legalized.
No, you know what? Not a lot of it. Here's the one problem: you guys can't give credit, and that's the biggest advantage that those illegal bookmakers have. They can send Rocco to somebody's house. You can't send Rocco to somebody's house.
Not yet. No, we can't do that.
Right.
But I think a good piece, if it will move to the legal side, and then you're going to have to look at how you go from there in terms of how you deal with each and every one of the states and what they want to do. If this became a 50-state proposition or a 30 or 40-state proposition, I do think at that point you'd be cutting into a good amount of the illegal gambling. Not all of it for the reason you mentioned.
So do you see down the road, do you see a federal plan or do you see a state-by-state plan?
Well, I think in the beginning it'll be state-by-state, but I think the only way the leagues wind up getting a consistent cut of the plan is if the feds ultimately then decide to step in and work with us to figure out how the pie is divided. But I think this is one of those things. It's another, I think, failure by some of the leagues to be obstinate about this. They could have cut a better deal.
Especially the NFL, of course.
Yeah, yes. Well, they're the biggest driving force, as you know, behind the opposition. I mean, I think both MLB and the NBA understand this is coming and would have been more amenable.
Adam has been on board. There's no question, especially yes.
Yeah, so I don't. It's going to be interesting to watch what happens. I think the NFL has enough problems at the moment. They may want to try to sue for peace somewhere. Because
so now, and we're talking to Governor Christie. So now, there's no way the Supreme Court says we're not hearing it, this is officially now on the docket, right?
It's scheduled. It's scheduled December 4th, 10 a.m., Christie versus the NCAA, Ted Olson versus Paul Clement. And that's going to be the argument on the 4th. And then they will have a decision sometime between December 4th and June 30th.
So they can wait. That was what I was going to ask next. So their decision can be delayed as long as it could. They can wait until next June to decide this.
And probably will. With the bigger cases that they work on, Mike, they usually start releasing those in the beginning of June to the beginning of July. And I would suspect that in this case is probably not at the earliest. I think we can expect a decision before April, and probably closer to June.
It says a lot that the Supreme Court took the case because they feel this is something that is going to have some impact. That's why they took it.
No question. And we think it's a states' rights issue, and I think that's why they took it. And to get the Supreme Court to take your case, you need at least 4 votes of the 9 to get them to even take the case. So, I think it's a really good indication that we've got some momentum, but we got to, make the arguments that we make. We've got a lawyer representing us who's the only lawyer who got a president of the United States elected. So we feel pretty good about the guy.
No, he's top shelf. There's no question. Yeah.
And so we're, listen, New Jersey, as you know, has been fighting this fight now for 5 years in the courts. And so to finally get to the Supreme Court and have our chance to make our argument before the highest court in the land is what the people of our state wanted us to do, and we're doing it. All
right, what are you doing in your final days here? What's the first thing you're going to do when you're out of office in a couple of days?
I get out on January 16th, and on January 17th, Mary Pat and I are going to see Springsteen on Broadway.
All right, which has got rave reviews, absolutely rave reviews. Yes.
So our first night as civilians. We'll be going to Springsteen on Broadway, and then I got to get a job, Mike.
Do you have any? Is there a chance you'll still go down and do something with Trump in Washington? Is that still in the offing?
Who knows? The President of the United States picks up the phone and calls. If they offer you something, I've been offered a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to do. Maybe he'll offer me something that I do want. You never know. But my plan is to go in the private sector and make some money.
All right. Well, listen, happy holidays. Thank you for clearing that up for us. Appreciate it.
No problem, Mike. Thanks for the time, and good luck to you, too.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Governor Christie. All right, so the Supreme Court now hears this December 4th, but we have to wait for a decision probably until late June. And it does give the NFL a long time and the other leagues a long time to prepare for what the offing will be if it turns out that they rule for New Jersey. So you heard him say, Governor Christie no longer in office. You heard him say, though, that if they on June 30th make the decision that they'll be up and running on July 4th. Bonds will be right there with them, waiting for him down there on July 4th. He'll be right there he'll be the first guy on the line right there at Monmouth with him. So they'll be up and operational on July 4th, 4 days later. So they're ready to go. But it probably will take that long. So just to clear that up so you understand, because I wasn't aware that it had been accepted. The case is on the docket for the Supreme Court and will be heard December 4th. So there won't be any news coming out of that because you have 2 brilliant lawyers who will talk to, who will make their case. You've seen how that works, You've seen how it works in movies and in real life, how the thing works. It's a very different kind of court with the Supreme Court. And then they do take all that time up to June 30th to render a decision. So we'll know something by next summer. And I know that there's a lot of people who feel that New Jersey will win. I have seen that. Not everybody, but there have been a lot of legal scholars who have opined that Jersey will win, that it is a states' rights issue, and the NFL, which is leading the band, is really out of its depth on this one. But let's see what happens. We'll still have a ways to go, but it will go before the Supreme Court on December the 4th. Back after this.